أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد أرسلنا رسلنا بالبينات وأنزلنا معهم الكتاب والميزان ليقوم الناس بالقسط. صدق الله العظيم.
أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق وظن أنه الفراق والتفت الساق بالساق إلى ربك يومئذ المساق. صدق الله العظيم. We skipped a very important issue which is discussed in Surah Al-Qiyamah, ayah number 18, 16, 17, 18 and 19. And actually these ayat concern the issue of the compilation of Quran. As we know, the sequence of the revelation of the ayat and surahs of Quran is definitely different from the sequence of compilation of this Quran. Now the question is, who compiled it? These ayat tell us this compilation was done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. When he said, La tuharrik bihi lisanaka lita'jala bih, don't move your tongue hastily to remember this Quran. Inna alayna jam'ahu wa Qur'ana. We take responsibility that number one, you will not forget it. We shall gather it in your heart or in your mind. And Qur'ana, the sequence of recitation, that is also upon us. We will tell you where to place this surah. A surah is being revealed now, where it should be placed among the surahs that have already been revealed. And فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ. And when we fix this sequence of qira'at and recitation, then you have to follow the same sequence of qira'at. So there is the ahadith, which tell that the Prophet ﷺ used to have a dawrah, a round of Quran during this month of Ramadan with Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam. He used to recite and Jibreel used to listen. And in that way, the sequence was being fixed. And in the last Ramadan of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, it was repeated twice. So the compilation was completed within the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. Although in the form of a book, it was not present. It was compiled in the form of a book during the caliphate of Hazrat Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala. But Quran had been compiled, the sequence had been fixed, and so many huffaz were there who had memorized the whole of Quran according to this sequence which we have today in Quran. And this is the sequence of Quran in the Lawh Mahfuz, in the Kitab Maknoon. This is there with the Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we proceed, because there was one scene, which was shown. What will happen on the Day of Judgment? Wujuhun yawmaizin nazira. When the whole mankind will be standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, waiting for the judgment. Now on the faces of the people, the judgment will be there written on their faces. Just as we have, during the high school days, they are used to be declared, result is going to be declared on 1st of March. And when the students were there, so everybody could see on the face who is going to fail and who is going to pass. So actually, before the announcement of the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people will know what is going to happen to us. Therefore, some of the faces will be very fresh, radiant, and they will be looking towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And some of the faces will be gloomy, and they will be fearing that now the treatment which will break their backbone is going to be done to them. Now the scene is of the death. That is the bigger qiyamah, and this is the smaller qiyamah of every person, individual person. When you die, as the Prophet has said, "Man mata faqad qamat qiyamatuhu." Who dies, his qiyamah has come, because now he cannot do anything. He cannot earn, any good deeds. So whatever he could earn, he had earned already, as if his qiyamah has come. So a scene from that qiyamah, when death comes. Kalla iza balagati taraqi. Nay, when the departing soul reaches the collarbone, when it is all going out and reaches here. Waqila man raq. And it is said, is there any soothsayer? Now the doctors have given, they have said it's hopeless. We can't do anything. You can take your patient to your home. But is there any soothsayer, some sorcerer, someone who can save his life? Qila man raq wa zanna annahu al-firaq. And now that person himself has come to believe that now this is the departure. I have to leave this world, I'm going. Wal taffat is-saqu bis-saq. In that, the legs will come together and twist round each other. This is, alam naza, when, this life is being taken out, the soul is being taken out. It's a very hard time on human beings, if you have seen people dying, So the legs will be twisting around each other. Ila rabbika yawma idhin masaq. So on that day, you will be driven towards your Lord, and there is no other place to run away and to have any refuge. Fala saddaqa wala salla. But he neither affirmed nor prayed. This is the condition of the chiefs of Quraysh. They listened to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they didn't accept. Fala saddaqa. Neither they accepted that whatever you are saying is true and good, wala salla. Nor were they ready to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the contrary, walakin kazzaba wa tawalla. But they belied and turned away. Summa zahaba ila ahlihi yatamatta. And then he went to his family arrogantly. Awla laka fa'awla. Woe to thee and woe to thee. Summa awla laka fa'awla. Again woe to thee. O man, woe. Ayahsabul insanu an yutraka suda. Does man think that he is to be left wandering aimlessly, unrewarded? He will be left alone. No reward, no punishment. Alam yakun nutfatan min maniyyin yumna. Was it not a sperm drop which was emitted? Summa kana alaqatan. Then he was a clot of blood, according to the old translations. But what I have come to understand, a leech-like structure hanging from the wall of the womb of the mother. Alaqa, mu'allaq. فَخَلَقَ فَسَوَّى. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it and fashioned it and gave it the figure. فَجَعَلَ مِنْهُ الزَّوْجَيْنِ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنْثَى. And then he made of him two kinds, the male and the female, from the same sperm drop. Allah is making one a male child, other a female child. The whole system of body different, psychologically different, everything different. Alaysa zalika biqadirin ala yuhyi al-mauta. Is not that Allah able to bring death to life? If you could create you out of that sperm drop, can that Allah not bring you back to life after your death? And here we must say, Bala ya Rabbal Alameen, wa nahnu ala zalika min ash-shahideen. Why not, O our Lord? And we testify to it, that actually this will happen. Now, Suratul Insan or Suratul Dahr. There are two names of this one surah. Suratul Insan and Suratul Dahr. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hal ata ala al-insani hinun min ad-dahr lam yakun shay'an mazkura. Now, this Suratul Qiyamah and Suratul Dahr, they are a pair. And additional thing is that Suratul Qiyamah has ended with the mention of this nutfa and then alaqa, this creation in the womb. And Suratul Insan or Suratul Dahr starts with it. So they are joined together. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا? Has there not been a time, a period of time when man was nothing which can be mentioned? Everybody knows. Every man has come from that sperm drop, and nobody likes to mention it. But there was a point in time when each one of us was in the form of a sperm drop. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. He was not something mentionable. It cannot even be mentioned. So low. إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج. Verily we have created man out of a mingled sperm drop. Now this also, now we can understand. Formerly, the Mufassirin couldn't understand. What does it mean, intermingling? Actually, it is the coming together of the ovum of the mother and the sperm of the father. One cell as ovum, which is coming from the mother, ovary, and one cell, that is sperm, coming from the father. They join together, and then they become one cell, and that is called zygote. So this is actually nutfatam amshajin. They mixed. When the both cells, they mix with each other and become one cell. Nabtalihi, and we have created man, what for? To test him. Faj'alnahu samiyyan basira. This is the same thing that we read in Surah Al-Mulk. Khalaqal mawta wal hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. He has created death and life so that he tests you and tries you. Who among you does the better deeds and good deeds? So the same thing is here. Inna khalaqna al-insana min nutfatin amshajin nabtalihi. In order to test him. Faj'alnahu samiyyan basira. Therefore, we gave him and we made him the listening, we gave him the listening and seeing. Hearing and seeing faculties we gave to him. Inna hadaynahu sabil. And secondly, we have shown him the way, the path. This was on us. Hadaynahu najdain. Falhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. Inna alayna lal huda. This responsibility rests on us. We shall make this way is correct, this is wrong. That we shall explain through our messengers, through our revelations. But then the choice is theirs. Inna hadaynahu sabil imma shakiram wa imma kafura. Whosoever wants to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, well, let him be. And whosoever wants to be ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let him be. It is the choice that we have given to every man. Inna atadna lil kafirin, but the end is not going to be the same. Choice is yours. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. The choice is yours. But the end will be very different. Inna atadna lil kafirina salasila wa aghlalam wa sa'ira. Surely we have prepared for the disbelievers chains and fetters and blazing fire. Inna labrak, on the other hand, those, the pious people, yashrabuna min kasim, they will be drinking from a cup. Kana mizajuha kafura, where will be a mixture of camphor, or a spring in the garden, you know that there will be mixing of water from that spring. There are two interpretations of the ayah. And yashrabu biha ibadullah is going to be a fountain or a spring in the paradise, in the garden. Yashrabu biha ibadullah. The servants of Allah will drink beside it on the coast of that spring or river. Yufajjirunaha tafjira, and they will take it, divide it into their own gardens. The Al-Jannah is a big garden, but there are gardens for individuals. Jannatu adnin allati tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. Every person in the Jannah will have its own garden. And you know the branches of that spring or fountain, they will be taking to their own gardens. Yufuna bin Nasr. They fulfill their vows. وَيَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا كَانَ شَرُّهُ مُسْتَطِيرًا. Their vows they fulfill and fear a day, the evil of which will be widespread. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. And they used to feed, to give food to the people for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or although they also are in need of that food. two meanings. Ala hubbihi, for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or even when they themselves need that food. In the time of drought, for example, in the time of famine, but they have the courage to whatsoever they have to share it with the others. يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَىٰ حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Everyone who is needy or is orphan or is a captive. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. And then they say, we are feeding you only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً. We don't expect any reward from you. وَلَا شُكُورًا. And not even thanks. We don't want thanks from you. We are feeding you for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Him. إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا يَوْمًا عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا. Indeed, we are fearing from our Lord on that day, which is going to be frowning and very distressful. فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them from the evil of that day. وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَظْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. And caused them to receive radiance and pleasure. وَجَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. And He recompensed them, rewarded them, due to the endurance that they had. They persevered in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. جَزَاهُمْ بِمَا صَبَرُوا. Due to their patience that they showed. جَنَّةً وَحَرِيرًا. Allah will reward them the garden and the silken clothings. مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ. They will be reclining there in that garden, عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ, on couches. لَا يَرَوْنَ فِيهَا شَمْسًا وَلَا زَمْهَرِيرًا. They will not see in it neither the heat of sun, no intense heat, nor intense cold. وَدَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ ظِلَالُهَا. And its shades will be over them. دَانِيَةً عَلَيْهِمْ. Close upon them will be the shades. And ذُلِّلَتْ قُطُوفُهَا تَذْلِيلًا. And the clusters of the fruit will also be very near to them. They can catch them very easily. وَيُطَافُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِآنِيَةٍ مِّن فِضَّةٍ. And there shall be passed down them vessels of silver and goblets, وَأَكْوَابٍ كَانَتْ قَوَارِيرًا, which will be made of glass, crystal. But that glass or crystal, قَوَارِيرًا مِّن فِضَّةٍ, it will be from silver. Silver made so transparent that you can see through it. This glass is made of glass, but it may be a glass made of silver, but the silver is so transparent that you can see through it. وَيُسْقَوْنَ فِيهَا كَاسًا كَانَ مِزَاجُهَا زَنْجَبِيلًا. And therein they will be given to drink a cup whose mixture will be from ginger. عَيْنًا فِيهَا تُسَمَّى سَلْسَبِيلًا. This is also a fountain in the garden, and its name is Salsabil. وَيَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ. And there shall go round about them immortal youths. Boys, which you call, in your restaurants, boy. They will be serving. And they will be there everywhere. But they will remain of the same age. They will not get old. So that they remain permanently serving these people. مُخَلَّدُونَ. إِذَا رَأَيْتَهُمْ حَسِبْتَهُمْ لُؤْلُؤًا مَنْثُورًا. And they will be so handsome that when you see them, you will feel that they are scattered pearls. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتَ ثَمَّ رَأَيْتَ نَعِيمًا وَمُلْكًا كَبِيرًا. And wherever you look, you would see bliss and great kingdom. عَالِيَهُمْ ثِيَابُ سُنْدُسٍ خُضْرٌ وَإِسْتَبْرَقٌ. Upon them shall be the garments of green silk and brocade. And they shall وَهُلُّوا أَسَاوِرَ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ. They shall be adorned with bracelets of silver. وَسَقَاهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ شَرَابًا طَهُورًا. And their Lord shall give them a drink of pure beverage, pure wine. إِنَّ هَذَا كَانَ لَكُمْ جَزَاءً. All this is a reward for you. وَكَانَ سَعْيُكُمْ مَشْكُورًا. And all the deeds that you did, all the striving that you undertook, that has been appreciated by Lord. And so, in reward, you have been given all these things. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ تَنزِيلًا. Verily, we have revealed to you this Quran. Slowly, gradually, tanzila. فَاسْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. So, wait for the command of your Lord. وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ آسِمًا أَوْ كَفُورًا. And don't obey these people who are opposing you, who are sinful and ingrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't listen to them even, what they are saying. Some of them used to come, oh Muhammad, just we should have some compromise. This Quran, as we have read in Surah Yunus, this Quran is very, very rigid. There should be some compromise between you and us. So either you bring forth some other Quran, or you make some changes in it. In the same way in Surah Bani Israel we have read, وَإِن كَادُوا لَيَسْتَفِزُّونَكَ لَيَفْتِنُونَكَ عَنِ الَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ لِتَفْتَرِيَ عَلَيْنَا غَيْرَهُ. They want to, that you should abandon this Quran which we have revealed to you, and you should say something yourself, and then you say that it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this pressure, but oh Muhammad, you don't even listen to them. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْقُرْآنَ تَنزِيلًا. Verily, we have sent down this Quran on you in a very gradual manner. فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. So you have to wait for the command of your Lord. وَلَا تُطِعْ مِنْهُمْ عَاصِمًا أَوْ كَفُورًا. Don't obey or listen even attentively to any one of them who are a sinner and who is very ungrateful to Allah. وَاذْكُرِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. And remember the name of your Lord in the mornings as well as in the evenings. وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَاسْجُدْ لَهُ. And some part of the night also, you keep prostrating before Him. وَسَبِّحْهُ لَيْلًا طَوِيلًا. And glorifying Him in the long hours of the night. إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ وَيَذَرُونَ وَرَاءَهُمْ يَوْمًا ثَقِيلًا. We had the ayah in Surah Al-Qiyamah, كَلَّا بَلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ وَتَذَرُونَ الْآخِرَةَ. The same thing is here. إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ. These people, these kuffar, these disbelievers, who are turning away, who are not accepting you, actually they are in love of this world, this ajila, the present world, the present life. إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ يُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ وَيَذَرُونَ وَرَاءَهُمْ يَوْمًا ثَقِيلًا. And they are putting behind them the remembrance of the heavy day. That heavy day, that is the day of resurrection. نَحْنُ خَلَقْنَاهُمْ وَشَدَدْنَا أَسْرَهُمْ. Verily we created them, and we have strengthened their joints. أَسْرَهُمْ. وَإِذَا شَئْنَا بَدَّلْنَا أَمْثَالَهُمْ تَبْدِيلًا. And whenever we will like, we shall substitute the like of them in exchange. We shall exchange them, and there will be new bodies we shall give them. إِنَّ هَذِهِ تَذْكِرَةٌ. Verily, this is admonition. This is reminding. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ سَبِيلًا. So whosoever wishes, he can adopt the path towards his Lord. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. And you cannot wish unless Allah permits. For that, final sanction has to come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. Verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything and is all wise. يُدْخِلُ مَن يَشَاءُ فِي رَحْمَتِهِ. He admits into His mercy whomsoever He likes. وَالظَّالِمِينَ. As for the evildoers, أَعَدَّ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. He has prepared for them a very painful chastisement. Surah Al-Mursalat. You will see this Surah Al-Mursalat has 50 ayat, 40 in first section, 10 in the next. Surah Al-Naba, 40 ayat, 30 in first section, 10 in the second. And very similar to each other. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Mursalati Urfan. By the winds sent continuously, wind blowing. Fal Asifati Asfan. And by the scattering winds who scatter the clouds. We have read 2 surahs of this style. وَالصَّافَّاتِ صَفًّا فَزَاجِرَاتِ زَجْرًا فَتَالِيَاتِ ذِكْرًا. Surah Al-Safat. وَالزَّارِيَاتِ زَرْوًا وَالْحَامِلَاتِ وِقْرًا. The second was وَالزَّارِيَاتِ. Third is this Mursalat. And I explained at that time that here either the winds or the angels are mentioned. Except the final 5th of this style will be Surah Al-Adiyat. There the horses are referred. But in the 4, these are either winds or the angels. And I also mentioned, Rih and Ruh, they are very close to each other. Just as Nar and Nur are very close to each other. Rih and Ruh, we can't see air. We know that air is here, but can't see it. We know that Ruh is on us, but can't see it. So Rih and Ruh are also very close. So first two oaths which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking here, they refer to winds. But the rest, they refer to the angels. وَالنَّاشِرَاتِ نَشْرًا, and the scattering winds, scattering clouds. Then فَالْفَارِقَاتِ فَرْقًا, then serving them severally. Now, فَالْمُلْقِيَاتِ ذِكْرًا, and they bring down remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hearts of the people. Udran or nudran, by way of excusing or warning. By way of either cut off the excuses or to warn. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends this zikr, and mulqiyat zikran, and the angels, they recite that zikr. They recited to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Muhammad then recited it to the people. So these are the oaths, and they are the most difficult portion of Quran, the interpretation of these oaths. And there are so many views. But what is the fact that on which these oaths are taken? إِنَّمَا تُوعَدُونَ لَوَاقِعٌ. Definitely, what you are being promised is going to happen. Don't think this mention of resurrection and, As-Sa, Al-Qiyamah, Al-Jannah, Al-Jahannam, it's nothing. No, these are facts, and these will come before your eyes. إِنَّمَا تُوعَدُونَ لَوَاقِعٌ. Whatever you are being promised, it will happen. فَإِذَا النُّجُومُ طُمِسَتْ. So when the stars will be made dim, وَإِذَا السَّمَاءُ فُرِجَتْ, and when the heaven will be cleft asunder, وَإِذَا الْجِبَالُ نُصِفَتْ, and when the mountains will be scattered like dust, وَإِذَا الرُّسُلُ أُقَّتَتْ, and when the messengers will be gathered to their appointed time. The messengers will be summoned. Come on. The messenger who was sent to Qawm Aad, come on and testify that you had delivered that message that we sent to you, to your people Aad. So they will be summoned. إِذَا الرُّسُلُ أُقِّتَتْ لِأَيِّ يَوْمٍ أُجِّلَتْ. To what day has all this been delayed? This thing has been deferred, delayed. For what day? Which day? The Yawm al-Fasl. It has been deferred till the day of decision, day of judgment. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الْفَصْلِ. And what will make you realize what is that day of decision and judgment? وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe on that day to the beliers. Now this ayah will be repeated 10 times. Woe to those who belied, who rejected, who said there's no truth in these things. أَلَمْ نُهْلِكِ الْأَوَّلِينَ. Did we not destroy the ancients? ثُمَّ نُتْبِعُهُمُ الْآخِرِينَ. And we shall cause the later ones to follow them. If we destroyed those, people of Nuh and Hud and Saleh, we can destroy Quraysh also. We can destroy Romans also. We can destroy others also. كَذَلِكَ نَفْعَلُ بِالْمُجْرِمِينَ. In this way we deal with the guilty. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe on that day to the beliers. أَلَمْ نَخْلُقكُّم مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ. Now these are all signs from different aspects of what we see, our observations. أَلَمْ نَخْلُقكُّم مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ. Did we not create you from a hateful fluid? فَجَعَلْنَاهُ فِي قَرَارٍ مَّكِينٍ. Then we placed it in a secure depository, the womb of your mother. إِلَىٰ قَدَرٍ مَّعْلُومٍ. Till an appointed term. فَقَدَّرْنَا فَنِعْمَ الْقَادِرُونَ. So we appointed and measured, and how excellent are we, the measurers. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. 9 months we kept you in the wombs of your mothers. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. أَلَمْ نَجْعَلِ الْأَرْضَ كِفَاتًا. Have we not made this earth a receptacle? أَحْيَاءً وَأَمْوَاتًا. For the living as well as for the dead. He is sustaining the living, giving food to give you the sustenance. But it will receive you when you are dead. In its womb. Again you go into the womb of this earth. Ayam wa amwata. وَجَعَلْنَا فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ شَامِخَاتٍ. And we have placed therein lofty mountains. وَأَسْقَيْنَاكُمْ مَاءً فُرَاتًا. and we gave you to drink sweet water. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. All these things are proofs that whosoever has given you all these blessings, he will question you also. He will bring you to book. You will be accounted. And this grand accountability, that will decide. Either you are a failure, so if there is failure, you are bound to go to hell. And this is وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Woe to those who were beliers. إِن تَرِقُوا إِلَى مَا كُنْتُمْ بِهِ تُكَذِّبُونَ. And then it will be said to them, now go to that place which you had been belying. That's hell. You said, no, nothing of this is going to happen. إِن تَرِقُوا إِلَى ظِلٍّ ذِي ثَلَاثِ شُعَبٍ. Go towards that shadow having 3 branches. لَا ظَلِيلٍ وَلَا يُغْنِي مِنَ اللَّهَبِ. Neither there is any shade in it, nor availing against the flame. إِنَّهَا تَرْمِي بِشَرَرٍ كَالْقَصْرِ. This is surely, it is shooting out sparks like castles or logs of woods. كَأَنَّهُ جِمَالَةٌ صُفْرٌ. As if they are golden yellow camels. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. هَذَا يَوْمُ لَا يَنْطِقُونَ. This is the day that they are not speaking, not saying anything. وَلَا يُؤْذَنُ لَهُمْ فَيَعْتَذِرُونَ. Nor they shall be allowed to make excuses and present their excuses. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. هَذَا يَوْمُ الْفَصْلِ. This is the day of decision and judgment. جَمَعْنَاكُمْ وَالْأَوَّلِينَ. We have gathered you and also those who were before you. فَإِنْ كَانَ لَكُمْ كَيْدٌ فَكِيدُونَ. So if you have something, you can have some plot. So now use that plot against us. Bring out your arguments. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Now the second section, إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي ظِلَالٍ وَعُيُونٍ. On the contrary, the God-fearing will be in the shades and springs. وَفَوَاكِهَ مِمَّا يَشْتَهُونَ. And such fruits as they will desire and like. كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا هَنِيًّا جَزَاءً بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Eat and drink pleasantly for what you were doing in your life. إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Thus we recompense and reward those who attained excellence in their deen. كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. Again, woe to those on that day who belied. كُلُوا وَتَمَتَّعُوا قَلِيلًا إِنَّكُمْ مُجْرِمُونَ. Okay, go on eating and enjoying comforts of this world for a little while. قَلِيلًا إِنَّكُمْ مُجْرِمُونَ. You are guilty. You are culprits. You are going to be brought to the judgment. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ ارْكَعُوا لَا يَرْكَعُونَ. When it is said to them, you should bow down before your Lord, they are not ready to bow down. وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثٍ بَعْدَهُ يُؤْمِنُونَ. So now these people, on what discourse, which admonition, which sermon will be beneficial for them, that they will have the faith and they will believe in it. After this Quran, even now if they don't accept, then when they will be able to accept. Now Surah An-Naba. Naba means a very big news. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma yatasaalun. About what do they question each other? Because when the Prophet said, you will all be resurrected, they said, oh, what is he saying? Then we shall all be dead. We will be brought to life again. And also our forefathers. So there was, a thing going on in this city. What Muhammad is saying. What news he is giving. So this is it. As Hali has said, वो बिजली का कड़का था या सौते हादी, अरब की जमीन जिसने सारी हिला दी. This news, that stirred up this whole society. Amma yatasalun. About what? They are questioning each other. Anin nabail azim. About that great news. Allazi hum fiya mukhtalifun. Regarding which they are differing with each other. Kalla sayalamun. Not at all. Very soon they will come to know. When it will be before them, they will come to know. Summa kalla sayalamun. Nay, again, they shall soon come to know. Alam najalil arda mihada. Didn't we make the earth a cradle? Wal jibala utada. And didn't we make the mountains as pets? Wa khalaqnakum azwaja. And we created you in pairs. Wa ja'alna nawmakum subata. And we appointed for you sleep, for a repose. Wa ja'alna al-layla libasa. And we appointed the night as a garment, as a cover, as a covering. وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. And we appointed the day for a livelihood, to earn your livelihood. Go about and earn. وَبَنَيْنَا فَوْقَكُمْ سَبْعًا شِدَادًا. And we built upon you, over you, 7 strong firmaments. Heavens, 7 heavens, strong. وَجَعَلْنَا سِرَاجًا وَهَاجًا. And then we made the sun as a dazzling lamp. وَأَنزَلْنَا مِنَ الْمُعْصِرَاتِ مَاءً ثَجَّاجًا. And we sent down from the rain clouds abundant water, water coming, rain coming. لِنُخْرِجَ بِهِ حَبًّا وَنَبَاتًا. So that we bring out from the land, from the earth, with this water, the grain as well as the plants. وَجَنَّاتٍ أَلْفَافًا. As well as the gardens, who are very thick in growth. Inna yawmal fasli kana miqata. Verily, surely, definitely, the day of that decision, the day of judgment is appointed. That will come. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you all these things, well, He will question you. In what way you availed of them? In what way you use these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In the right way or the wrong way? If in the right way, you will be rewarded. If in the wrong way, you will be punished. Inna yawmal fasli kana miqata. This is the crux of the matter. Referring to these are our creations. This we have done, this we have done, this we have done. But the crux of the matter is that inna yawmal fasli kana miqata. The day of judgment and decision is already fixed. And we have read in Surah Al-Mursalat, لِأَيِّ يَوْمٍ أُجِّلَتْ لِيَوْمِ الْفَصْلِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الْفَصْلِ. Here, إِنَّ يَوْمَ الْفَصْلِ كَانَ مِيقَاتًا. These two surahs are a pair. يَوْمَ يُنْفَخُ فِي الصُّورِ فَتَأْتُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. The day when, the trumpet will be blown, and you will come in armies, coming in multitudes. وَفُتِحَتِ السَّمَاءُ فَكَانَتْ أَبْوَابًا. And the sky, the heaven will be opened. It will become all gates. وَسُيِّرَتِ الْجِبَالُ فَكَانَتْ سَرَابًا. And the mountains will be set in motion. So they become a mirage, as a desert. Sand, slippery sand. No Himalaya, no Alps, nothing of the sort. Everything clean. La iwaja fiha wala amta. Neither any heights nor any turns. All this world will be plain. Iza dukkatil ardu dakkan dakka. It will be beaten into a plain Medan, plain, ground. Inna jahannama kanat mirsada. Verily, the hell is waiting in ambush for you. Waiting. When my prey comes. Inna jahannama kanat mirsada. Waiting in ambush. Littaghina ma'aba. And it's going to be the abode of the transgressors. Labisina fiha ahqaba. To abide by there, to be there, to live there, forever, for ages and ages, abiding therein for ages. La yazukuna fiha bardam wala sharaba. They will not taste in that hell neither coolness nor any drink. Illa hamimam wa ghassaqa. The only drink will be boiling water and the washings of the wounds. pus and all those things. Ma'azallah. Jazam wifaqa. And this is going to be a proper and full recompense for what they have been doing. Innahum kanu la yarjuna hisaba. Verily, they were never expecting that they are going to be, to be asked and questioned. They didn't hope any reckoning. Innahum kanu la yarjuna hisaba. Wa kazzabu bi ayatina kisaba. And they kept belying our revelations vehemently. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا. But on the other hand, we had kept a record of everything written. And everything we have computed in a book. فَذُوقُوا. Now taste. فَلَنْ نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا. We are not going to increase for you anything except the severeness of the chastisement. Now the second section. إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَفَازًا. The same, pattern is the same. Surah Al-Mursalat and Surah Al-Naba. Verily, for the God-fearing, there is success and achievement. Inna lil-muttaqina mafaza. What is it? Hadaiqa wa anaba. Gardens and vineyards. Wa kawaiba atraba. And youthful wives of equal age, loving. وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And an overflowing cup to drink. لَا يَسْمَعُونَ فِيهَا لَغْوًا وَلَا كِسَّابًا. They will not have to listen there and hear. No, not any vain talk, not any lying. جَزَاءً مِّن رَبِّكَ عَطَاءً حِسَابًا. This will be the recompense from your Lord, a gift of reckoning. رَبِّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا. Who is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and whatsoever is between them. لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِنْهُ خِطَابًا. They will not be able, they will not have the power to talk to him, to converse with him. Nobody will have the courage to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ. The day when the Ar-Ruh, that is Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam, wal-Malaika and other angels, they will be standing saffan, in arrays, in rows. La yatakallamun. None of them will be able to speak a word. Illa man azana lahu Rahman. Except the one to whom Rahman, the compassionate, has given permission to speak. Wa qala sawaba. And then he will not say anything wrong. They will not intercede on the behalf of the culprits. They will say whatever is correct. Nothing wrong. First of all, they will not have the courage to speak without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after the permission they get, they will say whatever is truth. Nothing wrong. ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. This is the day, the true day. The day which is certain to come, sure to come. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. So whosoever wants, he can take a recourse to his Lord. إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا. We have warned you against that chastisement which is very near. Don't think it's very far off. Maybe you die tonight and the punishment starts. In the barzakh, in the grave also. As the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every grave is either a pit from the pits of Jahannam, hell, or a small garden among the gardens of Jannah. So that is going to start immediately. Inna anzarnakum azaban qariba. We have warned you. You won't be able to say that we were not forewarned. The warning has come to you. And this is the same word, nazir. The second ayah of Surah Al-Muddassir. Ya ayyuhal muddassir, qum fa'anzir. Gird up your loins, stand up, and start warning the people. Yawma yanzuru al-mar'u ma qaddamat yadah. The day when man will see what his both hands had sent before him. Whatever we are doing, it is going on. It's being deposited in the hereafter. It's being, credited or discredited to our account. Going on. But we are forgetting. But on that day, we have to see, this is what we are sent. يَوْمَ يَنْظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. When the person will see, whosoever does, even, equal to an atom, good, yara, he will see it. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Either good or bad, whatever you have committed, howsoever small it might be, you will see it before you. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ. And on that day, the disbeliever would say, Ya laytani kuntu turaba. Oh, would it be that I was mere dust and not a man? Because had we been dust, there would not have been any questioning here. No reward, no accountability. There is a very beautiful saying in Persian language, Mara akash ke madar nazade. This will be our condition. Would that my mother had not borne me. Would that I was not born a human being. And Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq, radiyallahu ta'ala, used to say, how much I long that I should have been like a parrot, like a sparrow, this small animal, not accountable, like a blade of grass, which is put in the fire, burnt, but no questioning, no reckoning, no accounting. So if whosoever has real faith in it, he keeps fearing. Amma man khafa maqama rabbihi wa nahan nafsa anil hawa. But on that day, the kafir would say, وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. Would that I were mere dust and nothing else. Now we are at Surah Al-Nazi'at. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والنازعات غرقا والناشطات نشطا والسابحات سبحا فالسابقات سبقا فالمدبرات أمرا صدق الله العظيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. As I mentioned before also, 5 surahs of the Quran start with this style. وَالصَّافَّاتِ صَفًّا. That was the first. Then وَالزَّارِيَاتِ زَرْوًا. That was the second. وَالْمُرْسَلَاتِ عُرْفًا. That was the third. This is the fourth. وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا. And the final and fifth will be وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا. Just as you may remember, 29 surahs of the Quran start with huruf-e-muqatta'at, letters which are pronounced separately. 3 with 1, Noon, Qaf, Sad, and so on. In total, 29 surahs, they begin with huruf-e-muqatta'at. 5 start like this. So there are various forms in which the surahs begin. Regarding the first and this fourth, there is consensus that here angels are mentioned. وَالصَّافَّاتِ صَفًّا. That surah contains an intrinsic proof also that there the angels have been mentioned. Here also there is consensus in Nazi'at that these are the angels. And the final one, وَالْعَادِيَاتِ, about that also there is no difference of opinion. But in between two, Zariyat and Mursalat, about the oaths of these two surahs, there are many opinions. But here it is absolutely agreed. وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا, by the angels who tear the souls of the wicked forcibly. Gharqan, the angel dive deep into the human being and then tears off the soul when it is dying. And this is for the kuffar, because their souls, when they are taken and possessed by the angels, it is as if they are being torn, But for the Muslims, for the believers, وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ نَشْطًا, by the angels who untie gently the souls of the virtuous and the righteous. They very ease. So that is the difference between how an unbeliever dies and how a mu'min dies. The Prophet said that the death of an unbeliever is like there's a hot rod on which there is kebab, and you are just pulling the kebab off that hot rod. But as for the mu'mins, believers, as if there was some bag of water and only a drop comes out of it. That's all, easily. There's no difficulty for them. But this is the inner aspect. Outwardly, there might be, even the believers when they die, they might face hard times. For those who see, they might feel that they are having a very hard time. Because we know that even the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of death, he had much of, stress, and he was in pain, agony, very severe headache, and all these things were there. So one is the external aspect, which is visible to the people. Other is the internal aspect. When, this soul is taken away from that body. So the condition of the disbelievers is different from that of the believers. وَالسَّابِحَاتِ سَبْحًا. Then, taking possession of the souls of these people by the angels, who then float swimmingly. They are going, taking away the souls. فَالسَّابِقَاتِ سَبْقًا. Then they go racing with one another. They compete. I will go further, and the other is competing. No, I'll go first. فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتِ أَمْرًا. And then they ordain the decreed affair that has been, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. That is where to take this soul. Either towards Illiyin or towards Sijjin. That we shall learn inshallah in Surah Al-Mutaffifin. But according to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then these angels take these souls to their destinations. Now after these 5 ayat of oaths, muqsam alayh, on what these oaths have been taken, it is not mentioned. It is understood, and that is, inna ad-deena lawaqi', innama tu'aduna lasadiq. Just as we found in Surah Zariyat, in the Surah Mursalat. So there, we find this muqsam alayh, or what this oath Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking, that is, inna ad-deena lawaqi', innama tu'aduna lasadiqun wa inna ad-deena lawaqi'. Whatever is being promised to you is absolutely true, it will happen, and the day of recompense, day of judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is definitely coming, so there is no doubt in it. يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الرَّاجِفَةُ تَتْبَعُهَا الرَّادِفَةُ. Upon the day when the shaking thing will shake, and then after it there will follow a next blast. These refer to 2 blowings of the trumpets. The first day, that is as-sa'ah. When the trumpet will be blown, the earth and the mountains will shake like anything. Ya ayyuhan nas, ittaqu rabbakum inna zalzalata as-sa'ati shay'un 'azim. An earthquake, a quaking, a shaking, a terrible shaking. But after some time, then there will be Yawmul Qiyamah, the day of resurrection. It will be followed by the second blowing of the trumpet, when all will be revived. So these are the 2. And we have read it in Surah Zumar also. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ ثُمَّ نُفِخَ فِيهِ أُخْرَى فَإِذَا هُمْ قِيَامٌ يَنْظُرُونَ. So these 2 blowings of the trumpet. قُلُوبٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ وَاجِفَةٌ. Many a heart on that day will be throbbing in fear. أَبْصَارُهَا خَاشِعَةٌ. Their glances, their eyes will be downcast. يَقُولُونَ إِنَّا لَمَرْدُودُونَ فِي الْحَافِرَةِ. That will be the picture of the day of judgment, of the day of the recompense. But today what they are saying? يَقُولُونَ. Today they are saying, أَإِنَّا لَمَرْدُودُونَ فِي الْحَافِرَةِ. Are we indeed to be restored to our former state? Shall we be resurrected when we die and we become bones and clay and dust? Aiza kunna izaman nakhira. What? When we shall have become bones, decayed? Qalu tilka izan karratun khasira. They say that would then be a losing return. This is a taunting. Okay, yes, as Muhammad is saying, if we are returned, definitely, then it is going to be a very losing return. We will be in loss. But they were not believing in it. فَإِنَّمَا هِيَ زَجْرَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ. But it shall only be a frightening shout, zajra, frightening. As فَإِذَا إِنَّمَا هِيَ زَجْرَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ فَإِذَا هُمْ بِالسَّاهِرَةِ. And behold, they shall all appear on the gathering plain, the Maidan-e-Hashr, the plain on which all human souls will be gathered. هَلْ أَتَاكَ حَدِيثُ مُوسَى. Has the story of Musa come to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? إِذْ نَادَاهُ رَبُّهُ بِالْوَادِ الْمُقَدَّسِ طُوَى. Just recall, when his Lord called him in the sacred valley of Tuwa. Now this has come many a times and in details. Here in the small surahs, this mention is very brief. اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Go to Fir'aun. Surely he has exceeded all limits. فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّىٰ. And say to him, would you like to be purified? Would you like your soul to be purified? وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَىٰ. And may I guide you to your Lord so that you have his fear? فَأَرَاهُ الْآيَةَ الْكُبْرَىٰ. Then he showed him the biggest sign, the miracle, the staff turning into a serpent. فَكَذَّبَ وَعَصَىٰ. But what happened? He belied and disobeyed. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ يَسْعَىٰ. Then he turned back hastily, striving to defeat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, gathering the sorcerers, magicians, so that there should be, a competition between the two, so that it is proved that Musa is nothing but a sorcerer or a magician and nothing else. So he tried his best. فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى. Then he gathered the people and cried out. Nada. He cried out and shouted. And he said, فَقَالْ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. I am your Lord, the Most High. This is very important, and we have read it before also, that he said, أَلَيْسَ لِي مُلْكُ مِصْرَ. Is not the kingdom of Egypt under me? I am the monarch. I am the sovereign. وَهَذِهِ الْأَنْهَارُ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِي. All this irrigation system is under my control. So this is the political sovereignty, which he is saying that I am Lord. So this aspect of Tawheed we have discussed in full. That Tawheed, on the one hand, Tawheed of creed, Tawheed fil Aqidah. On the other hand, Tawheed fil Amal, Tawheed in practice. And in practice, if somebody is following his wishes and desires and lusts and contravening the demands of and laws of the Sharia, then he has made his nafs his God, his Allah. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-hakim.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
The Islamic Organization of North America, IONA, is an organization dedicated to reviving the Quran into the hearts of Muslims while bringing its message to non-Muslims. The obligations of a Muslim as ordained by the Quran and Sunnah can be understood as having 4 levels. 1. A Muslim is required to develop real faith and conviction, iman, in one's heart. 2. A Muslim is required to live a life of complete submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3. A Muslim is required to propagate and disseminate the message of Islam to humanity as a whole. 4. a Muslim is required to try his utmost in establishing the just Islamic order. The first and foremost objective of establishing Iona is to assist the Muslims in North America to uphold and implement these obligations, first on themselves, their families, inform their friends, and then to invite the non-Muslims to Islam. The ultimate goal is to seek Allah's pleasure and salvation in the hereafter. For more information about Iona, please visit us at www.tanzim.us. You may also email us at info@tanzeem.us or call our toll-free number 866-779-IONA. Join us. Together we can make a difference.